Oh no, the Earth 2 Flash has been killed? But by who? And why? Let's find out. Welcome to Kevin's commentary on comics. Today we go way back to May 1972 and issue 215 of The Flash that I decided to review for a couple of reasons. One, The Flash has always been one of my favorite DC heroes, and I do tend to get Marvel heavy with these reviews. Now, I make no excuses. Growing up, I was a Marvel zombie, so there's a lot of early DC I've never read. So I went into Comixology and picked out this issue. I picked it because the Golden Age Flash is my favorite Flash, and so I was excited to see one with him featured. Plus, that Neil Adams cover is always an eye draw. So let's dive into this baby entitled Death of an Immortal, written by Len Wein with interior art by Irv Novick and Frank McLaughlin. We open with Barry Allen getting his day started with a shave while his wife, Iris, sleeps in her own bed. Yes, her own bed. They have separate beds apparently, and I guess much like TV back in the day, they weren't allowed to show them sharing a bed. Ah, the innocence of times gone by. Barry is accepting a Good Citizens Award and he needs to change into the Flash, which makes one wonder why he bothered to put on a suit and tie. But unfortunately, he notices that his costume isn't in his ring where it usually is. And by the way, this is one of the coolest things about the Flash, the fact that he keeps his costume in his ring. It looks like on the Flash TV show, they're going to move in that direction. It'll be interesting when they actually get that done. So he discovers that the Earth 2 Flash costume is in his closet and that he is actually in Keystone City. It wasn't Iris also that was in the bed, but actually the wife of Jay Garrick, the Earth 2 Flash, Joan Garrick. What is going on? So we get a brief recap of DC's infinite Earths and how Earth 1 and Earth 2 exist together but at different vibratory rates. I also like to comment the fact that apparently Barry Allen's home is exactly like Jay Garrick's home, because you'd think if he woke up and he was in a different room, that would be pretty obvious. But obviously it must be exactly the same. So these comparisons or these similarities between the two Earths go a lot deeper than just each one having their own Flash. So Barry has no idea what's going on, but Jay Garrick was supposed to get a Good Citizens Award as well. Again, more similarities. So Barry suits up in Jay's costume to go receive the award. Now you'd think they'd just skip all that stuff considering Barry is suddenly on Earth 2 mysteriously and Jay is missing, but hey, gotta get that award. So he zooms off and receives the award. While he's there, he saves an old man from being hit by a truck. Turns out that this old man knows that Barry is not the Earth 2 Flash. The old man appears to be some sort of mystic, and he takes Barry to his apartment and shows Barry that Jay is stuck in limbo. The old man saw Jay while studying his mystic crystal the night before. He says that he can get Barry into limbo, but before he does, he hands him his Scarlet costume. Now, how the old man happened to have it isn't explained, and apparently Barry didn't care enough to ask. The old man casts a spell and opens a gateway to limbo, and the Flash races in. Now, it's funny to look at limbo because it's used quite a bit in comics. It's always interesting to see different artists' depictions of it. Here, it's apparently just made up of circles. Flash finds Jay and wakes him up. No, he wasn't dead, so that cover was a bit misleading, wasn't it? Jay Garrick explains that he was in limbo to find a meteor that he needs to direct back to his reality, or his Earth is doomed. Unfortunately, he cannot explain why he knows this, he just does. So we cut back to the old man, who is none other than Vandal Savage. We are then treated to his origin story of when he was a caveman that was struck by a meteor which made him immortal. Well, almost. Turns out the effects of the meteor only lasted for about 50,000 years, and Savage is starting to get old, so he needs the meteor to hit him again to restore his immortality. He sent the Flash, Jay Garrick, to Limbo to bring it to Earth, but he failed. But Jay Garrick failed to do so, so Savage sent the other Flash, Barry Allen, to help him out. Now, how he did all this is really not explained. I mean, I don't know a lot about Vandal Savage. I know he's immortal. I know he's kind of a weapons master, but I didn't know he had that mystical side to him, so apparently he does. I often say it's comics when there is some unexplainable act, and boy, this issue is full of instances where I can say it's comics. So the two Flashes catch up with the meteor and trap it in the backwash of their speed so it follows them wherever they run. It's comics. They get to a point where they split apart and the meteor hurls into a portal that I guess goes back to Earth 2. Again, I'm not sure how either Flash knew where this portal was or even question how sending a meteor to Earth would actually save Earth. Seems kind of counterintuitive to me, but hey, once again, it's comics. Anyway, the two try to follow it and return to Earth, but they are blocked from returning. Yes, that evil Vandal Savage prevented them from getting through. Obviously, his mystic powers are considerable. How else could he control Limbo like that? The two Flashes get caught up in the time stream and knocked unconscious and is actually pulled out by Tempest, guardian of the time stream. Nope, I've never heard of this guy either. I did do some checking on the internet and it looks like this is his first and only appearance in the DCU. The dude guards the time stream and explains that time is a river, which actually made me think of a Steve Winwood song, The Finer Things. Time is a river rolling into nowhere. Anyway, he won't let them get into the time stream because that's what he does. He guards it, and he uses his time shifting powers to avoid their punches. Finally, the two Flashes confuse Tempest enough to allow Barry to get in a blow. Tempest is impressed and lets them enter the time stream. So it's one of those typical, hey, beat me as the Guardian, and if you do, I'll let you through. Not really good guardianship, I would think. So here we shift from circles in Limbo to stars as the two race along the top of the time stream. I guess they had to race all the way back to the end of time, where the stream then turns into the beginning of time in order to get back to the time when they were put into Limbo. I guess. It's comics. Along the way, they face some perils like rapidly aging, and they fix that by running backwards. And then they hit a time whirlpool and then a time waterfall. On the waterfall, Jay Garrick loses his footing and starts to fall, but Barry saves him. I laughed at this because even though Jay is calling for help, Barry responds, hey, I'll be right with you, like he was doing something else, and he just needed a minute or so. The two finally loop around time and see, somehow, the plan of Vandal Savage, and now they know the whole story. Eventually, Jay Garrick pops back into his time, and Barry quickly follows. They catch up with Vandal Savage as the meteor approaches. Vandal manages to hold them off with a net, of all things, and waits for the meteor. But he seems surprised when the meteor doesn't stop and ultimately blasts him into smithereens. Now, isn't this basically what happened when he got his immortality to begin with? Did he think the meteor was just going to stop or veer off? And honestly, isn't a meteor striking the Earth kind of a bad thing? This one pretty much seems localized, and the blow doesn't really affect the two Flashes other than knocking them backwards. At the end, Jay says that Savage waited 50,000 years for death to catch up with him, but Barry wonders if he's really dead. And we all know Savage is a fairly major villain in the DCU, even today, I believe. So obviously he didn't die. Early comics, especially DC ones, they just go really in any direction without the need for much explanation. Other than having the same cast of characters, there doesn't seem to be much continuity, I don't really think, between these issues. It's kind of start of the story and the end of the story, and maybe it spans over a few issues, but once it's done, you don't really see much reference back to it. Now, I know that's a general statement, and I'm pretty sure there's plenty of examples where I'm wrong, but this does seem to be the case. This comic is just kooky. Was the appearance of Tempest really necessary to the story? It's almost as if the guidelines back then were, here, you've got 25 pages to fill with an average of 6 panels on each page, so go for it. And if they come up short, hey, let's throw this guy in here and never refer to him again. So I'm Kevin, and that was my commentary. What did you think of this one? I was hoping for a little more meat to this story, especially based on the cover, but I may have gone too far back, and perhaps I need to look at a Flash issue from the late 70s instead of the early 70s. One thing I would like to read is the Flash issues that led up to the Crisis on Infinite Earths. I know he goes on trial for, I think, killing someone. Maybe it was Professor Zoom or something. And I think he goes into the future or something like that. I only have really vague memories of it. But before I go there, I will stop off at various points in the latter 70s to see if there's any better stories in this one. Yeah, sure, this was kind of fun, but it was mostly kind of silly. So you got any thoughts on this? Well, why don't you leave a comment below then? I've got plenty of more 70s stuff I'm reading, and I will be back next time with another classic. Or maybe a classic, since I'm not sure this one actually fit the bill as a classic. Make sure you like and share this video and click on that subscribe button. So until next time, please run as fast as you can to have a great day, and I will see ya.